Welcome in. It is Friday on sportsbookreview.com. This is your Major League Baseball show. A huge card today. A lot of doubleheaders. Not a lot of action last night. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. We had a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of information. I got to tell you, Jason, we were perfect yesterday, went undefeated, but there was still another baseball organization playing across the globe that I know you've been cashing in on as well. Yeah, look, just because we couldn't cash in America yesterday doesn't mean overseas we weren't able to do so there.
Yeah, without MLB, I had to give the guys a little bit something to cash, and everyone just feels so left out when there's nothing to bet on. We all have those degenerate feelings here and there, so gave a little KBO pick out there on Twitter, and it cashed in the fifth inning in the first five. So that was fun. So, at the end of the day, we did cash in the morning. Hopefully we can continue to cash later today. But with all the uncertainty in the MLB, I think this card for me personally is going to be a little bit lighter than usual.
There's a lot of games out there. And also, you keep in mind, guys, differentiate which games are doubleheaders, which games are not. And also, Jason also brings up a good point. Usually we like to open up, crack it. I crack open a monster real early in the morning, take a look at some of the lines and some of the pitching matchups. And they were delayed all morning. Lines didn't come out till later. Still some pitching matchups that we're trying to decipher. But we got the crux of the information that you need. 73 people already watching live 1 minute into the show. If you missed the show, if you haven't checked out the show, if you need to be a better Major League Baseball bettor by getting that information, click on the link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? If you are, I say it almost daily here, Jason, if you're watching this show and that red button is still showing down there, flip it over to gray, turn your notifications on, get all the information you need in Major League Baseball. And when Jason and I go live here on the channels, you can come into the chat box and say hello, Eric, James, Ray, Jermaine, Sabino, Jose, Durko, Christopher, welcome into the chat box. We got a large card. Let's not waste any more time and get after it here. First, we're going to start with a nice little pick six. We're going to go to the city of Philadelphia to start. 9:05, 9:06, Atlanta and the Philadelphia Phillies, who had a day off yesterday. I got to tell you, from a strategic point of view here, Jason, not bad. You avoid Max Scherzer. You reorganize for the Atlanta Braves coming into town this weekend healthy, get an extra day of rest. And here we are with a 50-50 ticket split. Opens up around 134 offshore at SBRodds.com. We're seeing the same lines across the board, 136, 135, 140, with a total of 9.5. I'm going to stick to the first 5 innings in this game. Now, look, Erlin's been decent so far this year, specifically against right-handed batters. The Phillies are going to stack right-handed batters, but one of the lefties that can do damage tonight and has done very well against left-handed pitching this year, that's one Bryce Harper. So I'm going to take the bullpen out of it here. I think the Phillies at home in a good hitting environment, some muggy weather, can get 3 runs over the first 5 innings. I'm going to go the Philadelphia Phillies team total over 2.5 to start this show out, Jason. What are we looking at here in this NL East battle?
Yeah, so last week, I think we had the same matchup, Erlin versus Wheeler. Wheeler pitched really well. The Phillies were up 4-0. Somehow, some way, the Phillies ended up losing 6-5 with that brutal bullpen. Of course, we've talked about this on the show plenty of times. The Phillies bullpen has gotten a lot better, and maybe that's not as worrisome as it was when this matchup was in the first time. But I stick with you there. If I had went first 5 in that game, in that first game when they faced each other, would have got that easy win from the Phillies. I think they scored 2 runs against Erlin and then able to get a couple more with Wheeler still on the mound. So, yeah, I agree here. Phillies in the first 5. It's not an official play for me, but I definitely agree with the Phillies in this game over Erlin, who's got a 5.51 FIP on the season. But he's been pretty good. Like, he hasn't been bad at all, but also hasn't been great. Wheeler, on the other hand, has been terrific.
Yeah, what's interesting, when you take a look at those peripheral numbers here for Robbie Erlin, he's got the high ERA, he's got the high FIP, the high XFIP, but the Sierra number is very manageable here, Jason, at 3.98, because then we flip it around and we try to take a look at, how's Philly starter Zach Wheeler doing? You see the 2.76 ERA, but then you see the elevated FIP, XFIP, and also Sierra number. So I was actually close looking at this ball game, trying to determine which team total or which shot I would want to go with. I'm just going to lean toward the home team, rested and ready for this ball game. And you're right, maybe those free rides are done where you just say, dude, man, the Atlanta lineup looks really good. If they wait out Wheeler through 5 or 6 innings, you attack the bullpen, you live with it. But now it's a decent bullpen and a rested bullpen getting the extra day off. We'll see what takes place. 9:13, 9:14, Washington and Boston. 8 out of every 10 tickets coming in here on Max Scherzer. They open up at 164, but it dips down a little bit here. 152 at Pinnacle, 155 at Chris, 154 at 5 Dimes, with an over-under that opened up at 9.5, Jason. Now sits at 9. And I'm just going to go against it here because I know I have the, let me see, make sure the same starter is still listed in this ball game. Let's see. Martin Perez has I have listed a lefty. So, I mean, Washington's done very well. You're in a hitter's ballpark. I'm actually to go against that bullpen because the same reason we said the past couple of days also, the Phillies bullpen has improved. Why? Because they got some decent relievers from Boston, therefore weakening that Boston overall, bullpen and pitching matchup. I'm going to get 9 at-bats in this game. I'm going to lean towards a team total of 5 at -118 for the Washington Nationals. I think they get hit, and of course, I think they win the game, but I just don't want to lay that heavy price here on the road. I'll just go with the bats in this one, Jason. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so originally we were supposed to see Chris Meza. I think now Martin Perez is now the actual starter. So, with Meza on the mound, it would have been a little bit different for me. I would have said over. With Perez on the mound, I'd be taking a little bit backwards here. Perez had his best performance in his last start versus the Orioles. Allowed 5 hits and I think 1 run in 7 innings. Had 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. However, the Sox have lost the last 3 games that he's pitched in, but he's still holding batters to a 198 average. Righties do have more power against him. So with Perez on the mound, I would probably be more cautious on the over in this game, especially the first game back for these two teams. And then obviously I like the Nationals here to win this game. They could definitely score a couple runs, especially against the bullpen when the time comes. So I'm not saying the over 4.5 or over 5 is a bad play. If they can scratch out 2 or 3 against Perez and then score the other 2 or 3 against that bullpen, definitely doable. And I'm not saying Perez is a great pitcher. He's probably the best pitcher on the Red Sox, but he's not a great pitcher by any stretch of the imagination. So, for me, Nationals all the way in this game, but I do think that maybe a little bit more cautious on the over with Perez on the mound.
Dizzy Rothstein, he's on the over 9.5 for Nationals Red Sox, and also Ron Crawford chiming in. He's going Nationals run line -1.5. I like run lines on the road because again, if it goes in extra innings or it's the top of the 9th inning, you can continue to tack on as opposed to the bottom of the inning. You cannot do that. Here's an interesting game that's coming up. And keep in mind also, I believe I just got an alert here, Jason. This game's been moved up from 8:10 p.m. Eastern time to 7:10 p.m. And that's 9:15, 9:16, Kansas City and the Chicago White Sox. Duffy, the lefty on the mound, who's had a decent year versus Reynaldo Lopez, who last year wasn't very good. And the start of the season hasn't been very good either. Now we take a look at the game. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the White Sox. The line opened up at 135, slightly north here around that 140 number with an over-under opening up at 9.5 and now sitting at 10. And these are the type of games that really boggle my mind because I look and just going over the numbers. Look at this White Sox batters. 1 through 9, they're going to load up all right-handed bats with like astronomical ISO power and weighted on base average. And I flip it over, take a look at Danny Duffy, who's a lefty, dominates lefties, but that doesn't matter. You're going up against right-handed bats. He does have a pretty solid weighted on base average against right-handed batters at 290, but his ISO is still a little bit elevated at 203. And that's not a good recipe here. So when I take a look at these games and I say, I'm trying to match these up, sometimes I just don't want to overthink myself. Maybe they don't get 9 at-bats, but you're taking a look at literally the perfect matchup of what the White Sox like to do. It's going to be muggy weather out there in Chicago. Do you just roll with a team total here and say, I don't even care the pitcher on the mound. They should outslug this Kansas City Royals team?
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side, though, with the Royals over 4.5. And here's my reasoning. Reynaldo Lopez on the mound for the White Sox, a guy with a 13.5 ERA, 8.16 FIP. Of course, only 4 innings in 2 starts. So what does that mean? He's pitched an average of 2 innings in each start this season. That's how bad he's been. So if the Royals are able to score a couple runs early in this game versus Reynaldo Lopez, you'd assume that they'd be able to score a couple more against the White Sox bullpen in, let's say, 7 innings. Obviously, they're the road team, so they'll get all their at-bats. And Reynaldo Lopez, he's a guy, he's already allowed 6 earned runs on 4 hits, 4 walks, and just 4 strikeouts in the starts so far this season. So I think that the Royals can explode against Lopez in this one. I think the Royals offense is a little bit, I think they're a little bit underrated. In this game, you're looking at a potential game where both teams are kind of fighting, here and there. Like one team scores 2 runs, the other team scores 2 runs. And it's a close game throughout. So let's say we get to 4-4, and it goes to maybe extra innings. It's an automatic extra run, for the most part. So for the Royals, you could even look at over 4 at around -140. I got over 4.5 at -104. Just there's more value there at -104 than going -140. I'll take the chance for an extra run. for the Royals, and I think the Royals could even upset here at plus 135. Like you said, yeah, the White Sox, of course, have all these righties that can hit against Duffy, but Duffy's been pretty good this season so far, and it's kind of, look, the Twins are mighty, but the Royals have now won 3 straight when Duffy's on the mound, and he faced all the Twins in all 3 of those games, I believe. So he won't go deep, maybe 4 or 5 innings, so maybe look at, first 5 for the Royals instead of the full game. But there's definitely value with the Royals here. And I think this could be that place where, all right, everyone's going to go off these White Sox and say White Sox are going to win. The righties are going to dominate, the lefty pitcher. And then it goes the opposite direction where it's like, all right, well, Duffy's mowing them down. Because Duffy's looked pretty good. Like, obviously, you look at the stats and the White Sox should hit. But Duffy's look good. And we've seen it time and time again where it's like, okay, the White Sox should be hitting the ball. And somehow they don't against, a lefty that's out there. So, for me, I'm going to go on the opposite side, and if the White Sox want to score, that's fine. I'll just take the Royals and let them score too.
Yeah, the alternative look I had in this game also agrees with your thought process on, when you sometimes get blinded by one side that looks so dominant that there still could be value on the other side. When you're looking at Reynaldo Lopez in his starts this year, he only got 1 start back on July 26th. He went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 4 earned runs, then came back a month later on August 22nd. He only goes through 3 1/3 and gives up 2 earned runs. I know that I like the White Sox bullpen. It's decent. It's got some power arms. I was even looking at Kansas City first 5 innings team total over 3.5 with the same adage that says if their team total is 4 or 4.5, they better at least be getting 2 runs or more in the first 5 innings to cash that. I think Kansas City's got a pretty good shot to cash that first 5 innings. We'll see how it plays out, but an interesting game. Whenever I see some of those offensive statistics line up, I really like to get involved in those type games. I definitely have it circled. 9-17, 9-18, Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Holland, the lefty, versus Burns, the righty on the mound in Milwaukee. 54%, actually 55% of the tickets here coming in on the Pittsburgh Pirates to start. This line opened up with a heavy number at minus 190, but we're now seeing $2 across the board. Opened up as an over-under, Jason, at 9.5. We're now seeing 9s across the board. Just going to bring up some, statistics from this ball game. And I'm actually leaning, look, I've been knocking the Milwaukee Brewers all season long in their lineup, but now they're facing a guy that's very hittable and a guy in Holland who's a lefty who's faced 14 batters from the left-hand side and handled them, but now he's going to get a heavy dose of right-handed batters, which he can't get out. 87 batters this year, Jason. He's faced from the right side. A 409 weighted on base average, a 329 ISO number. Exit velocity average from a right-hand batter, 97. Taking a look at this lineup, finally waking up, you say, oh boy, Yelich is a lefty. Maybe he'll struggle. Yelich has been crushing left-handed pitching this year. 375 ISO, 419 weighted on base average. 2 through 6 in this lineup should do damage. I like the Milwaukee Brewers in this game. Team total, Jason, over 4.5, minus 130. And tonight is the night they're going to get me 5 runs and pull a W. What are you looking at here?
Well, you look at these Burns starts, right, for the Brewers, and he's just had some pure bad luck. And I think that's what everyone's kind of, doing with their tickets. And they're saying, okay, Burns, he's getting no luck. He's lost his last 5 starts for the Brewers. And the Brewers, they don't score when Burns is on the mound. And Burns has been so good. A 2.97 FIP, a 3.42 ERA. He's holding batters to a 165 batting average. Does have a little bit of a high walk rate, but it's just weird, right, that the Brewers aren't scoring with Burns on the mound. And like we've talked about this like plenty of times with Jacob deGrom on the mound. It's like the Mets never score when deGrom's on the mound. They've done it a little bit more. Then the bullpen comes in and blows it for him. And that's what it feels like with Burns this season. It's just been pure unlucky throughout the entire season. He's looked good. But then Holland, you look at his last 2 starts and you're like, all right, well, he's looked good in his last 2 outings. 1 earned run in his last 7 innings pitched. But before that, 13 runs in his last 10.2 innings pitched. So he's a guy, is he getting better? Is he performing better, pitching better? Or is he going to go back and, like you said, face that 2-6 in the Brewers lineup and get absolutely smoked? I don't know. It's a hard one. Righties are hitting 289 on the season with 7 long balls against Holland this season as well. So it's a tough one for me. I think Pirates have some value here at plus 175 because I'm just banking on this game being a tight, close game. But it's not to say that the Brewers won't score runs and the Pirates won't score runs either in this game, and maybe it's like a 6-5 game. I just think it's going to be a close game, and therefore I think the Pirates at plus 175 have some value.
It's interesting, too, because, sometimes you have to see who's going to be hotter matchup or take that team that you say, boy, I didn't see this tonight, or maybe I saw this coming when most others didn't. Because looking at the anticipated lineup 1 through 9 for Pittsburgh, with the numbers, and again, they're not really matched up directly against Burns. It's just against right-handed pitching. This is the single worst lineup I've seen that's a possible starting lineup in Major League Baseball this year. The entire team is red, and what I mean by that is if you're looking at a weighted on-base average, which is what I like to use as opposed to just taking a normal batting average, around 325 is the average for Major League Baseball, right? That just says, you know what? If there's 1,000 players, we're 500, we're right in the middle. Weighted on-base average with the expected guys starting tonight, 251, 240, 232, 236, 272, 213, 174, 145, and one guy hovering at that number at 322. To me, this looks like 8 pitchers batting and 1 utility guy. And having said that, you know what happens here tonight, Jason.
Yeah, of course.
6 runs by the 4th inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But we'll see what happens. It's an odd anomaly here where you look at this team and it's just like, this is ridiculous, but we'll see what happens. And again, it's a big price to pay. I actually think Milwaukee's bats might come alive tonight. We'll see what takes place. 9:21, 9:22. San Diego and Colorado going out to the Rockies. Davies versus Freeland. 8 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the San Diego Padres. San Diego Padres don't seem like they're ever out of it. I think everybody on that team, Jason, has double-digit home runs already, an average velocity of 100 to 120. They just absolutely bomb away. A fun team to watch. Now heading to Colorado. But we talked about it a lot during the show where we were in hitting weather right off the bat. 85, 90 degrees. You're actually to get cooler temperatures out there in Colorado today with the wind blowing in, so we don't get that pinball type access. But again, it's still Coors. It still could get popping late here because we're still taking a look at, hey, it opened up at 12. It's only down to 11.5. So each side theoretically still needs to get the 6 runs here. Opened up at minus 120 is a favorite for Davies. That's now down to roughly a pick 'em here. Even though the hitting conditions aren't that great here, I'm just going to go with a hot lineup, full line at bats in Coors. It's not that expensive, 5.5 for the Padres. I think they're the winning side tonight to me because they're hot. I'll ride that hand. I think they can get the 6 runs here. Don't love it. Would like to see 90-degree temperatures, but I'm not going to get that. What are you thinking here out of Coors tonight?
Yeah, so you might get those runs late in this game, but I'm thinking more under in the first 5. I'm seeing this number at 6.5 in the first 5. And that's just way too high for the 2 pitchers that are on the mound. And I know we're in Coors Field. I know all that drama and all that stuff. But Kyle Freeland, we talked about him yesterday, right? Freeland, the guy, he's a quality start after quality start after quality start. Every single start this season, he's thrown a quality start. And Davies, coming off a 8-inning performance, allowed 4 hits versus the Astros with just 2 earned runs in 8 innings. He's 4-2 with the Padres this season when Davies is on the mound. And Davies has an OBA of 183. So looking at both these pitchers, of course, the Padres do have a great offense, and I'm not taking anything away from the Padres or the Rockies offense, but the reality is these 2 pitchers have been performing really well as of late. Davies has a 3.1 FIP. Freeland has a 4.48 FIP, but a 2.87 ERA. So therefore, it's not an official play, but if I had to pick a second game, and it might be my second game if I started a little bit later today, so didn't have my full, my full ounces, my full workload under my belt before the show. So there's still time for me to add a couple of games. This game might be one of the additions where I go under 6.5 in the first 5. I think it's around minus 115 right now. So again, both these pitchers have pitched really well as of late. Freeland has had quality start after quality start. Davies coming off an 8-inning performance where he allowed 2 runs to the Astros. He's looked really good throughout the entire season with a 3.1 FIP. So I like the under 6.5 in this game. And it might explode. And the runs might explode later in this game. I'm not saying that they won't. The Padres can definitely score a ton of runs late in this game, 100%, especially against that Rockies bullpen. But we'll just stick with the first 5 and go with these 2 pitchers who have been really good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I can't remember the last time, Jason, I actually took like a money line wager out in Colorado just because no lead is safe. Hey, man, we got that 7-3 lead late and all of a sudden it disappears here. I do have some fun with some team totals out here, but I'm going to tell you, you know me. I'm usually a team total over type guy. That's the way I like to look. But the next game we got here, I'm rolling with a big dog in this one. That's 927, 928, the Mariners and Margevicius versus the Angels and Heaney. 50-50 ticket split in this one. Opens up at 194, staying in that same range here. Total across the board opened up at 9.5, now sits at 9. And I'm taking a look at some of these numbers with the advanced metrics that we like to take a look at and try to battle back and forth. Maybe 30 or 35 pitchers on the slate today, estimated to start. Nick Margevicius, 3.86 Sierra on the season. That's top 10 for today. If we take a look at Heaney on the back end, he's 20th today with a 4.31. And when I try to take a look at some of the statistics that I like to look at, The Angels haven't hit lefties at all this year. Fletcher's been good. Rendon's been good. But the rest of the lineup, including Mike Trout, has been extremely underwhelming versus lefties. Now, when you take a look at the Mariners lineup, it's not the greatest lineup. And I always like to joke. You look at this lineup and say, boy, I can't even pronounce half the names and maybe know one or two guys. Oh, yeah, the Seager guy. He plays for the Dodgers, right? No. That's his brother. He plays for the Mariners. That's the type of lineups that you're rolling out. But they have had some success against lefties. They're going to be able to stack some righties today. I'm going to take the big dog, 175. Give me that plus money on the Mariners. Any thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, it's funny you say this because I'm looking at my notes right now, and it has Mariners plus 175, parentheses, value, uppercase, parentheses. Yeah. So, yes, I completely agree. The Mariners are a great value play on the road versus Andrew Heaney. Heaney's really struggled. He's allowed 14 runs in his last 3 starts. The walks are getting high in the last 2 games. I think he had 6. 22 hits in 19.2 innings. 15 runs in 19.2 innings for Heaney in August in this month, of course. So lefties are oddly hitting 306 against him. Righties are just hitting 234. But that doesn't really matter because these guys in the Mariners lineup can definitely hit lefties. And then if you have some lefties in the lineup too, well, then they can obviously hit Heaney because he's not really obviously not doing much damage versus lefties. So the Mariners have a lot of advantages here in this game. Margevicius, he's starting to get ground balls. He's starting to he's working the ground balls a little bit in his last 2 starts. He's allowed 2 home runs in his last 11.1 innings pitched with 6 earned runs. But he's also went deeper in his last 2 starts compared to the first 4 starts that he had earlier in the season. And he's only allowed 3 walks the entire season so far. And it looks like it's been 3 starts in 6 games. So 19.2 innings pitched, just 3 walks, which is really good for any pitcher in the major league. So, yeah, I think the Mariners have a lot of value here. I'm not taking it, of course, but if you have those guts on a Friday with all the other games on, if you have those guts, definitely take the Mariners as the plus 175 underdog. But don't put it in a parlay. Don't be that guy putting in a parlay. Not a smart decision at all.
Yeah, how about you'll even get a guy later tonight, Jason. I'm pretty sure will say, "Hey, Jason, I run lined the Mariners tonight -1.5 to try to get that extra special on the actual winner of a dog." But yeah, this is one of those where we'll come back on Monday, be like, "I told you to take the Mariners." And they'll be saying, "Donnie, show me a ticket." I'll be like, "I don't have a ticket, but I certainly told you to take the Mariners out here at 175." Let's open it up to the floor here. Got through our 6-pack. I got some pretty good stuff here. I know Jason does as well when we give out some of these best bets and bankers at the end of the show. Let's go over a few games here. Thank you guys for watching. Over 311 people currently in the chat box. 50 likes, 0 dislikes. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. I want that thing over 67,000 by the time we leave the show. I don't know if it's possible, but maybe I'll check on the show a few different times today as it gets through. But let's pump that number up there. We do thank you for coming in here. Again, Jose, Shaheem, DX Filer, Dizzy, thank you. Let's take a look here. Let's go to Let's see if we can open this one up. That's not it. There we go. 6:37 p.m. 901-902. Baltimore and Toronto means the lefty, who is now the official starter for the Baltimore Orioles. I didn't get a chance to cap that end of it, but the minute I saw Means pop up, I know where I'm going after the show to really dig in to see what some of these bats can do. We already know Ryu's a great pitcher. Opens up at 200, sits at 200 across the board. Even some outlets in New Jersey, Jason, 220s, and a total of 9.5 in that smaller ballpark in Buffalo. Again, I don't know if I have enough to say, you know what, hey, I'm going to back Toronto at that minus 205 number, but I'm certainly after the show going to be digging in some numbers to go up against Means. If I like them to go against, the Rays lineup, I think in a hitter's ballpark now, Toronto should match up pretty well. That might be effective. I'm looking at 5 times right now, 5.5. So you could probably get double juice around that 5 range. I think it might be worth a look for the Toronto team total over here, Jason.
Yeah, so originally I thought Alex Cobb was on the mound, so I capped this game wrong as well. But yeah, if we're seeing Means on the mound, and I had the Rays last night going up against Means, I think you should you'll be damn sure that I'm going to be on the Blue Jays over 5 team total, which should probably maybe be around minus 140. I would assume around that range. So yeah, you guys can look at that on Twitter later. There's a big chance I'll have over 5 at around minus 140 around that range. I'm assuming it'll be around there. For the Blue Jays, over Means at around, like I said, over 5 at around minus 140. So I didn't cap this game yet because it was obviously a little delayed. But with Ryu on the mound, I definitely like the Blue Jays here over Means. Ryu's been really good. Of course, we talked about him yesterday. We talked about Means yesterday. Means has been really bad, and Ryu's been really good. Of course, I don't have the stats with me because I didn't cap this game. But we did talk about these two pitchers yesterday. So if you want to go back to hear my analysis on those two pitchers in two different games, it's the same stats. They haven't pitched since those two games that I talked about, or those stats I talked about. So definitely go back. But I am a Means hater and a Ryu lover. So definitely sitting on the Jays here, and I might even look at the Jays minus 1.5. So it's definitely something I'm going to have to look at after the show.
9-11, 9-12, Chicago Cubs and Cincinnati Reds, Hendricks versus Bailey. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Cubs. This line opened up at 130, staying in the same range, 127s, 128s across the board. Over-under opened up at 9.5, now sits at 9. When we take a look at this lineup here, the Cubs should be able to do damage. Bailey last year, when you take a look at it, he really struggled against left-handed batters, but that's not the case this year. Through 40 batters that he's faced from the left-hand side, he's got a 230 weighted on base average and a .061 ISO, and I really wish it would have been the same stats from last year, because then you would get Happ, Rizzo, Schwarber, Hayward, Caratini, and Kipnis all from the left-hand side, who are anticipated starters tonight. I still think the Cubs can do some damage in this game. I like Hendricks as a pitcher. Crafty. Maybe that Reds lineup hasn't woken up yet, but you're finally getting some bats from Moustakas bat in the lineup, Suarez, Winker, Castellanos, Akiyama. It is a good-looking lineup for the Reds. I lean towards the Chicago Cubs in this game. I just wish the numbers were a little bit better to try to factor in how it would take a Chicago Cubs team total, but I think the Cubs get it done tonight. Any leans or looks in this game?
Yeah, so I'm a big Hendricks believer. 3.55 ERA, 3.37 FIP, getting a ground ball rate of 48%. And walking less than 1 per 9 innings, which has been pretty impressive throughout the entire season. So, Hendricks, but he has quietly allowed 10 hits and 6 earned runs in his last 2 starts. So, hasn't been perfect for Hendricks, but against the Reds lineup that is still struggling, even though they might be, improving a little bit. They're still struggling, to get, big outputs of runs here. I like Hendricks here in the Cubs at minus 129. I think it's a low enough line to say, yeah, I'll just take it on the money line and be happy. Of course, I'm not taking this game, but as a lean, I think the Cubs get the job done here.
No, I do. I'm leaning Cubs in this spot. I think they can get the Maile in this one. Let's take a look at a game down in Texas, 9:23, 9:24. The Dodgers are going to have May on the mound, and the Texas Rangers will have Mike Minor, the lefty. 8 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on those Dodgers. If we take a look across the board, opens up at 225, strong road favorite. Now settled down around that 215 range, opened up at 9.5, now sits at 9. If we take a look at the tail of the tape, we know this Dodgers lineup is really good, but sometimes when you want to piecemeal things together, if the one thing they've struggled with this year is actually batting against left-handed pitchers. Now, Mike Minor can really be hit from the right-hand side, but the Dodgers' power, they really pride themselves on going righty-lefty, righty-lefty, righty-lefty throughout the lineup because of how deep and talented, saying, all right, well, if we just make it through the starting pitching, you can't match up with them because you can't bring a righty in to say you got 3 straight right-handed batters. That's not what they do. But taking a look at left-handed, at bats, Mookie Betts, 245 weighted on base average. Seager, 250. Bellinger, only 318. Taylor, 258. Muncy, 317. Kike Hernandez, 239. They haven't dominated left-handed pitching, but I still find myself looking at saying the Dodgers seem to be the best team in baseball from a lineup perspective, from a starting perspective, and also from a reliever perspective. You basically have to beat them 3 different ways. Dominate their lineup, hit their starting pitching, and also tack on it at the end of the game. And the Rangers are a bad baseball team. Is this one you just say, look, the better team's on the one side. As long as I get 5 innings and maybe 2 earned runs out of May, you should be able to close this one out. I don't have a great feel in this game, but the Dodgers, to me, don't match up great against lefties. So I don't just want to go automatic for my team launch angle, team total, just lay the wood and say I'll take the 220 on the road. Don't have a great feel for it, but not the best spot for me if I was looking to invest in the Dodgers tonight.
Yeah, Minor, he's 0-5 in 6 games this season. The Dodgers, they're 5-1 when May is on the mound. So that's big difference, right? Dodgers destroy with May on the mound. They win a ton of games. When Minor's on the mound for the Rangers, they lose. The Rangers lose with a lot of pitchers on the mound, of course, and the Dodgers win with a lot of pitchers on the mound, of course. But what's been interesting is May, his strikeout number should be a little bit higher. I'm like coming into the season, we thought that we had a lot more strikeout potential. Right now, just 6.21 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is pretty interesting. I would have expected a higher amount of strikeouts, but he is getting 51% of ground balls this season, so that's been really good for him. Without the strikeouts, at least he's getting those ground balls to make up for the little bit lack of strikeouts this season. Still has a 2.79 ERA, 4.4 FIP. He's been good this season. Nothing to complain about. Minor, his 0-5 record tells you everything you need to know about Minor, right? He's allowed 10 earned runs in his last 2 starts in 9.2 innings pitched, 22 fly balls in those games, and 14 hits in those 2 starts. Righties are hitting 279, like you said, with 6 home runs, 24 hits, in those hits. So, 24 hits and 6 of them have been home runs. I think the Dodgers get the job done. I think they got the job done handedly. So if you were to make a play on this, forget the money line. Go with that Dodgers minus 1.5. Again, they're on the road. They're getting their 9 innings. So when you take a minus 1.5, you want that road team to make sure that, if there's a tight game, they can score 2 runs instead of just 1 run walking off. So Dodgers here, minus 1.5 seems like the play. Not a play for me just yet. But again, look, I haven't had much time to look at everything. I've been really busy this morning. So this could be a play later on in the day. So just look out on Twitter for my full card, for this one and the other games that I talked about.
Yep, as we always say here, Jason, just because the show ends, the information does not follow. Jason at Jason_Radowitz. I'm at RightSide VP. Always happy to cheer on the plays we have and answer any questions. And if you guys would like to, make sure you ask Jason if he really likes the plays that he gives out tonight, what his thoughts are. That always goes over pretty well. Let's go over one more game here until we get to some best bets and bankers. 925, 926, Oakland and Houston. Bassett will be on the mound versus Lance McCullers. 50-50 ticket split here. The home team, Houston, opened up minus 130. That's gone. It's now roughly a pick 'em across the board, minus 108, minus 110. Over-under opened up at 9.5. That now since the 9. And I agree with the line movement in this game. Even though Lance McCullers has struggled ERA-wise, his numbers, Sierra, xFIP's a little bit actual better than Bassett's are, but it's the lineups that I trust. Look, I know going on the road, Houston woke up a little bit, but it seems like when they've been back at home, they've been really struggling. I'm going to go with that Oakland lineup to be a better lineup than what Houston's going to be able to provide. Just give me a decent start out of Bassett, because when you look at the overall numbers, they haven't hit right-handed pitching all that well. Matter of fact, nobody is above that 325 weighted on base average versus righties for the Houston Astros. I'm going to go with the short dog tonight. I'm going to take the Oakland Athletics in this game. Any leans on this game down in Houston?
Yeah, so I like the Athletics too, but McCullers, he's such a hard guy to cap because this is a guy, he's getting 62% of ground balls this season. Yeah. That's a ton. That's a huge amount. Definitely best on the slate. Probably best in the MLB this season so far. I don't know those numbers, but it's got to be up there as one of the top numbers in all of baseball with the ground ball rate for starters this season. So also McCullers, he's a guy that's going to walk up plenty of batters too. Right now he's at 3.45 batters per 9 innings, but that was higher earlier in the season. Definitely higher, dating back to his career stats as well. So McCullers, he's just a tough guy to cap a 5.74 ERA. In 6 starts this season, hasn't allowed home runs, but Bassett hasn't allowed home runs either. 2.97 ERA, 3.64 FIP for Bassett. So here, I think the Athletics have the better pitcher, but it's just so hard to go up against McCullers and know what you're gonna get out of him. A really high ERA, a high ground ball rate, a low home run rate, a high walk rate. There's just so much going on with McCullers. It's so hard to cap. That's why I'm definitely staying away from this game.
Harold Grill chimes in, hey, Donnie, I'm running late, but I'm here, baby. Now, why would you leave Jason out? See, now he makes amends for it. A couple things there. Says, hey, Jason, what's up? Love you guys. See, look, that's the way you come into the chat box. Say hello and say, wait a second. Might have forgot somebody here. You spread the love around here across our channels. That's what we do. 322 people currently watching live, 73 thumbs up. We do thank you for that. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification button. Thumbs up, thumbs down. The engagement is what we love. Chat box popping as well. Lamont Williams, Donnie, need a baby pit. We're cut right now. Here it is. We are going to go over some bankers and best bets. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I saw a lot of hate in the chat box already. I'm going for win number 7, and we're going to pick another team total. This is going to be a full game, and I know you hate it sometimes, but sometimes you got to lay down with the dog in order to come up with those fleas and still get that paper. That's what I'm doing tonight. It's going to be with the Milwaukee Brewers team total over 4.5, minus 130. Now, maybe some people might cap the end like, oh my goodness, they have to hit tonight. There's been a lot of social upheaval. They're in the city that's creating a lot of it, and that's the way they're going to bat. No, we don't cap like that. Derek Jeter night in the Bronx, we didn't cap the Yankees because they're going to win for Derek Jeter. Strictly on statistics here. This team should be able to hit Holland. They should stack right-handed bats. They should get this done. I'm going over the team total 4.5 to make it 7 in a row on the show, Jason. Take it away, best bets and bankers, my man.
Yeah, let's finish off the week strong. You can go undefeated on the week. That'd be pretty impressive. and good on you. But yeah, we're gonna go with the Royals over 4.5 team total. Another underdog. We're going with the team total. So we got underdog team totals for you guys today. So Royals versus White Sox. Royals over 4.5 team total at around -104. And of course, there are other games I'm thinking about taking. I like that Rockies game under 6.5 in the first 5 innings. I also like the Dodgers at -1.5 for the full game. So those are 2 other plays that I might be adding. It's not official just yet. Just official is the 4.5 for the Royals team total. Look, check back to my Twitter. Just got to look over these games a little bit more before I can make those other 2 games official. But it's looking like those will be 2 other plays for the day.
7-0 for me going tonight, Jay, and I expect to have this done in the 4th inning. How do you like that? So I'm even calling a shot right here, like I'm Babe Ruth pointing out to the center field seats right now. We're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoyed the show. As I see, still 320 people in here. Thank you so much for that stuff. It's been a Friday, another great week right here at sportsbookreview.com. And just think, Jason, next week, I'm going to be calling the show saying, hey, it's September the 2nd. You say, what? September already? Heading down the backstretch in Major League Baseball. Follow us all the way through right here on sportsbookreview.com on the Major League Baseball show. We'll get you ready for September. We'll get you ready for the playoffs, and we'll continue to win some money. Again, 81 likes, 0 dislikes. You guys are awesome out there for another Friday show and another show right here on the channels. This is sportsbookreview.com. This is your Major League Baseball show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday, same time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern.